Hello. We are in gate 58, the gate of the joyous, the gate of aliveness. And we have a fourth line, which is called focusing. Ra used to follow the daily transit, and he said he did that for three reasons. He would look at it in terms of what it could possibly mean for him. He would look to see what everybody else was going to experience that day. And he would look at it to see who was being born into the world with that particular energy. And if you want to understand the future, then this is a really good place to start. Look at how the program is being activated right now. And then you'll begin to glimpse the energy fields that are coming into the world. You get to see the movement of information, of genetic material that comes in through different cycles. Pluto was in gate 58 for nearly 3 years, from January 2010, going in and out of other gates as it had its retrograde movement. But before that, it hadn't been in gate 58 for over 240 years. And it won't be back there for a very, very long time. We have a generation with that specific imprinting, changing the genetic material of the whole. It's fascinating to watch this with some of those other long-term, long transit planets like Uranus and Neptune. You can see the generations that are coming into the world now carrying specific energies. The fourth and the fifth lines in the upper trigram are inherently social. That is, they are well aware of the gate at the other end of the channel. When you come to the fourth line, which is a line of externalization, we have a very fixed energy. And the line is appropriately titled focusing. It is a pure focus of this energy that is available for experimentation. Whenever you deal with the 58, always think of it as the energy for experimentation, because ultimately that is what it's all about. And it's important to keep that in mind. The energy is really for being able to experiment with a pattern that challenges authority, but nonetheless a pattern that must be supported through this energy. The exaltation says a natural specialization that when confronted with a multiplicity of stimulations will have no inner difficulty in focusing on the appropriate influence. The energy to feel recognition of which stimulation is of value. These people, being unidirectional with their single-mindedness, they have the ability in them to energize or to bring about experimentation, but in a very fixed, limited, narrow way. They don't want to give their energy to this or that challenge of authority. They're very clear. It has to go in one direction. It's not like the third line saying, this is my thing. This is simply willing to give its energy to the appropriate pattern, to the appropriate experimentation. This is the fourth line, so it's about being fixed, and this is a line of externalization. It's the upper trigram too, of course, and so they have no difficulty in finding the 18 at the end of the channel, which doesn't mean that the challenge is going to be successful. It simply means that they can find the 18. They can externalize their pressure to challenge. The upper trigram here is putting out into the world stress and pressure. The lower trigram holds the stress and pressure within themselves. They are two very different processes. You'll find that the fourth, fifth, and sixth lines are going to be much more stressful in the way that you experience them because they're going to deliver it. They're going to put you under pressure to do the challenging. In the detriment, an impressionability that becomes confused when confronted with a multiplicity of stimulations, and in trying to accommodate all of them becomes unstable. Energy which becomes unstable when overstimulated. Those children who were born in the 58 Pluto transit are about 14 now. We've got a whole generation of kids who are overstimulated and they don't know which stimulation to go for. They've got computers, they've got iPads, they've got phones, they've got this, they've got that. And many of them are unstable because they have no way of seeing where to really put their energy. What thing out there is stimulating? What they need is to be focused, which is, of course, the name of this line, and in the opposition as well, the opposition to the 58. When we look at the 52 and keeping still mountain, that gate of inaction, unstable when overstimulated. And this, in a way, is obvious for any fourth line. If you have a fourth line mind, you are trying to juggle 8 or 9 different mental processes, then you will become mentally unstable, because fourth lines are about being fixed. They're about being single-tracked and one-minded. The only way which that externalization can take place is if it is fixed in that way. When you come to the detriment of this line, there is so much pressure on the people who have this pressure gate to provide their energy to relieve that pressure. There's enormous pressure on 58s because the logic system is starved of energy. So the people with this detriment get suddenly overwhelmed because so many people want access to their energy. And in trying to go from here to there and back and forth, they become very unstable. They do not become mentally unstable, they become physically sick. This energy is pointed towards the splenic system, after all. So look carefully at the fourth lines that you have and be very clear about what a fourth line is saying to you. You know, it tells you that you have got to have a single focus, a single track. That is what keeps a fourth line healthy. The grounding comes through the 52 in the fourth line, which is called self-discipline. When we get to the fourth line here, remember that logic as a collective process requires an intense and deeply woven matrix of beings. Our evolution as a species has seen us go from the mad scientist alone in their basement to scientific laboratories of quite large size to scientific factories of enormous size. So the transpersonal here is about discipline, and it is about instilling discipline in others in order that the energy can be used properly. This is the discipline to be able to resist the misuse of energy. Self-discipline can keep the 58-4 on track to keep them in their fixedness. It's what is healthy for them when all is said and done. And we know today is a double sun transit day, so this is the second of our transits. We've looked at other moon gates earlier. The moon is currently in gate 34, 8 o'clock this evening, GMT. I went into gate 34, that individual sacral gate of power with its 3 possible channels. I looked at that a little bit earlier on. It moves next into gate 9 at 6:53. This is a logical sacral gate, and it is creating a channel with the earth in gate 52. This is the channel of concentration, a design of determination, and it is a format channel for the entire logical circuit. In order to master this process, in order to find the pattern and lead the collective into the future through correction, through judgment and criticism, you need to be able to sit down and concentrate and not get up until you're done. Okay, so we have a 5th line tomorrow. Thank you for joining me for this 58 in the 4th line. A beautiful gate. It's a lovely energy to be working through. The joyous at this time of the year. Are you feeling the pressure of this time of year? I hope you're doing well. I'm sending my love to you, and I will see you tomorrow for the 5th line. Until then, go gently.